Hey guys, yeah. So I was like in bed watching something with Tucker Carlson popped up on the feed. So it's about basically Europe going back to the dark ages because of the energy crisis. Um, they're just, in my opinion, just burning the whole thing down to start a new world order. The things happening in Canada, the decisions being made. It's like almost like, are you serious? As a Canadian looking at the United States, um, you know, sad state of affairs as well. And whatever happens in Canada, whatever happens in the States, we're, you know, right beside each other. We're neighbors, and United States culture affects Canadian culture, and vice versa. Well, more American culture. But we saw during the last 3 years how all of a sudden you have like non-elected officials, right, telling all the nations what to do. And we could see the foreshadowing, the birth pains of the New World Order or the beast system, if you're going to take it from a biblical point of view. So I started watching the video, and I was like, just like a lot of thoughts were popping up in my head. So I'm going to watch that. And G Legend, I'll send an invite. It'd be fun if you come up. It's 1:40 in the morning. I decided may as well watch this while I'm streaming so I can comment. How about nice try? I am still alive. Yeah, well, why don't you prove you're still alive? Come on. All right, I'm gonna start the video. I love y'all Canadians, but we in a war for independence and freedom. That's right. See, you guys will come with your guns and shoot the Canadians, and the Canadians somehow will like apologize, eh? They'll be like, "Oh, sorry, eh? Oh, sorry you missed that time, eh? Sorry about that. I flinched." Are you coming on? Let me know, because if I start this video, I won't be able to see you. So if anybody wants to come on, we're gonna be watching this Tucker Carlson 45-minute thing. I started watching like I was 10 minutes into it, about the energy crisis, and it's just ridiculous. I remember a picture with the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, and Vladimir Putin, shaking hands. You got Trudeau shaking hands. You got all these leaders, and all of a sudden it's like, yeah, right, like everybody's against Putin. I don't know. It just seems convenient, because it seems like they're collapsing the United States. Like Biden's just collapsing himself. He's like, yeah, like just let all the Mexicans come in. Just like, yeah, free. It's free. I don't know. It's been some crazy times, at least from a Canadian. I mean, I'm watching on social media. It could be a load of crap, but it seems like all of the foundation of the United States, what it's stood for, what it was founded on, seems like, and don't forget, this is like a amplified mouthpiece, right? Because you're seeing it on social media. So like a Canadian will look, and all we're seeing is like all this degenerate stupidity on social media. And I'm like, oh my God, that's happening in the States. It might not be that bad. Let's let our good friend G Legend. What up, man? How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good.
Nice to hear from you.
Hey?
Oh, but if we're going to war though, you cannot be like A is like, I don't want to hear the A. Can you like fucking like click and you fucking click? Yeah, that means it's loaded. Are you ready to fight tyranny?
I mean, Canadians aren't even allowed to have freaking like hunting rifles now.
Mm.
It's just like we don't have anything, man. We're gonna be coming at you guys with like butter knives and stuff like that.
It was like, oh, that butter knife did cut deep, but have a fucking samurai sword, and then like don't
Yeah, but
even
it
make
hurts because it's not sharp, man.
reach behind
Like
my back and just fucking pull it
get
down. I was like,
stabbed by
I
something
love you
sharp.
Canadians, but like.
Freaking
It's
butter
not the
knives.
4th of July though, but whoever though, this Canadian came at me with a butter knife though. I mean, what the fuck you expect me to do? Just walk it off?
What's worse is a margarine knife, with the omega-6 on that, cause more oxidation, inflammation on impact. You want to start watching this?
Yeah, but the only thing that will hurt me more if you bring up some like fake vegan butter, which is margarine with a knife, and be like, oh my god, I'm gonna inflammate.
Did you ever see the video I did? It's like a new spread, and it's like basically mostly water. Yeah, right. Nah. Let me just.
And no, I don't think I've seen that one. But so basically, like margarine, everyone knows margarine is bad, but they just revamped margarine. I call it vegan butter. It's like,
Yeah.
come on.
Where the hell? It's like a really old one, I think. It was just based on like an ad on Google that popped up, and it was like all this good things, like, oh yeah, it's made like basically it's like no calories. It's like because I don't know. It's like yeah, but it's not real food.
It's like I can't believe in the butter. It was like, yeah, I can't believe that you're selling this and it's filled with freaking toxic seed oils. So
Yeah.
they should label it as that.
Here, I got it. Let me obviously I'm not gonna play it the whole thing, but here, let me share screen with you. Let me know if it doesn't show up. Present. Scientists create a healthier butter.
Healthier butter.
Yeah. Scientists create a healthier butter like spread made 80% water.
Wow.
Yeah, so I don't know.
So basically water, some seed oils, and also too like some chemical dye to make it look like butter, and then just like
I could actually just with the title just I'll just Google it. I bet you the article will pop up. Scientists create healthier butter.
If I'm correct, they might have canola oil, so it looks like butter when it reaches room temperature.
Probably. You know what? I think they don't say they say it's like a new technology, and they won't tell us how they're making the water food. Okay.
Oh. Okay, so I want to bring up a point. No, I don't want to cut you off from what you're thinking, but I have the point of when you just talk about technology. So sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead. I'm looking for the article. Go talk all you want. I'm listening.
Okay, so they were talking about like especially like vegans, they want to be like, oh, when there's like fake meat, you have no reason to eat this fake meat from a lab. I'm just like, look, I look into it. The fake meat, like basically like beef, is basically in like a vat that is basically will give you dysentery because you have to clean these vat with heavy chemicals. And also too, the fake meat that you're gonna eat is literally of cancer cells. So the only way to get the cancer cells is they have to like cancer cells grow really fast. And if you that's why they're gonna be feeding us cancer meat. And also too the fake chicken, right? They're trying to say that these demonic people want to say like, oh, I could go over here and take a feather, right? And then fucking chemically ridden it and poison it with feathers to the point where it start liquidated onto acid. Then I will fucking turn it into like actual chicken. So you're not even eating real food at that point.
Making some Franken food is disgusting. Here, let's do this one fast because I want to start because like the title is a New World Order. Here I am on 80% water butter like spreads. So we'll do this part fast. So food scientists at Cornell University's develop a butter-like spread. They said is sustainable and contains only natural ingredients. Yeah, water and no synthetic stabilizers. This research, it's called ice. They froze ice. This research was published in journals of whatever. The product contains 80% water and small. Ah, there you go, my friend. See, I didn't even remember that. So it's like, well, you're already hydrogenating vegetable oil to make margarine. So now you're just still hydrogenating this, but adding water. I don't know. So
I think you have a point though.
Well, because it's not vegan
though. No, but I think you have a point what you just said though, because like basically when you cook like some pasta, because like I'm not promoting pasta, but like say pasta with some meat. And it's like kind of fatty. If you put it in the fridge because you have leftovers, the fats when you heat it up, it sticks to the plastic bowl or the ceramic bowl that you have it in. So I guess they're trying to like assume as like, okay, we could use these trans fats from vegetable seed oils, and it's the same thing as like
Yeah.
saturated fat, and they'll clog your arteries. But that doesn't happen when it goes into your body
Yeah.
because some
I don't
people still believe
understand.
that
Look,
fat will make you fat though, which is completely
yeah.
nonsense.
But it's like you're already using animal products. You're using milk fat to create some kind of fake butter by adding vegetable oils and then empty ingredients like water. It's like if you're already using animal fats, why don't you freaking eat the butter? Like just eat butter. And what their whole thing here, I bet you, because it's been like friggin' 4 years since I looked at this, I guarantee you it's all about like, oh, it's less calories because it's all like they're going with the we're all fat because it's calories in and calories out. It has nothing to do with insulin and what food does and how we eat and when we eat. So see, it's low calorie. That's why it's healthier because
No,
it's low calorie, it's low fat, so that's wonderful, right? And it's a substitute for butter. So it says over here, I just want to see where I bet you it says that it's a secret way of making it. They can't say. So
Morse
science
code.
professor at Cornell University and senior author of the study told the publication that researchers kept adding water to oil until reaching a final composition of 80% water. So it's margarine and then 20% seed oil. The process created a product that had consistency, a mouthfeel, and a creaminess of butter.
So basically, if it doesn't kill you because there's so much seed oil in it, they have to fucking put so much water so you could actually be digestible and won't kill
Yeah.
you.
And
When you're like, oh, let
there's
me use
no
this fake butter, and it's like, oh, too toxic.
yeah. So here it says the scientists were looking to create a butter substitute using some familiar ingredients: water, vegetable oils, and milk fat. Yet
Mm-hmm.
delivering far fewer calories and much less fat. There's nothing wrong with fat. Their formulation could appeal to customers who want to limit their intake of both, but still appreciate butter's mouth. So it's all about like a feel. It's like it has nothing to do with delivering nutrients, not acknowledging that all the fat soluble vitamins in the butter
Thank
are not
you.
there in your water spread. Um, I don't know where it says. Anyways, let's get
Yeah,
to the
because, no, no, I fully agree with you because I watched a video from this dude called like Lifting Vegan Logic.
yeah, I
He
know.
muted me because I debated him, but he was trying to say like when you're measuring between meat and like say vegetables, you want to use calories instead of like actual like
Yeah,
grams
yeah. No,
because each gram, if you put it on grams, which is actually relevant because grams have nutrients, but you want to put it on calories. It's like if
yeah,
you want to put it based it on calories, it's like I could eat I could eat like a ribeye, like a 1 ounce ribeye, and
yeah,
I'll be good for the day. But in order to get the nutrients from ribeye, you have to be I don't even know what you have to eat. You know how much broccoli you would have to eat to even come close, and then you have to eat a bunch of other stuff to even come remotely close to the actual nutrients for your
yeah.
calories. Calories doesn't mean ounce per nutrient though. That's why vegans like to make
Completely
fake.
agree. No, they'll switch
Mhm.
like when they were talking when JD was trying to point out like it's not fair about the soybean. You guys are using like 10% because that's all the oil you can suck out of it. The rest is just residue, so it's 80%. And then you guys, the way you're saying with weight, it makes it look like we're feeding the cows everything. When you guys are sucking the oil and giving the garbage, they're very switchy as well. Because at one point, I told the vegan, I was explaining the way I eat, the way I can fast. If you calculate, it's probably 3 months out of the year that I'm not eating, I'm saving money, and the way I'm eating. And he was like, "Well, if you're eating the same, like if you're staying the same weight." What he was saying is those 3 months that you're fasting, you're just going to compensate by binging on the other day, when you are eating. And I was like, no. I said the way I eat, I'm just naturally going down to my ideal body weight. My
Mm.
appetite is rare. I can go long times without food. I'm saving money, less of a carbon footprint. I'm eating mostly my chickens in the back, the eggs, and I'm planning on slaughtering like a cow and a pig and a lamb. So I'm causing 3 deaths for my whole family for the way we eat, probably for the next 3 years. And I was like, that's more vegan than vegan. And they
Yeah,
just
because it's true. Because I'm pretty sure when you're doing your fasting, you're not going to go out to like freaking Taco Bell or like freaking
Hey, give me a
Like
second.
McDonald's and a binge on like freaking processed food. You're gonna eat something like respectable that will just like work with your body because like at the end of the day, is like vegans trying to force us to eat like lab food, and I like anything from a lab has never been healthy,
Yeah,
like dietary wise.
no, for sure. Sorry, I thought my wife was talking to me because it's like the middle of the night. She's probably wondering what I'm doing, but I think she's on the phone, so I'm confused. Hey, let's start the video.
Okay.
So, anyways, the reason is I started watching this. It's all about the energy crisis. It's Tucker Carlson. It's like 45 minutes. I'm like 10 minutes into it, and like I have so much thoughts that are coming to my head. But I just feel like looking at the States, looking at Canada, now with Europe, this whole like Ukraine war. To me, it seems everything I feel is planned. I feel like it's like we have to collapse everything to rebuild it into what they want, right? Because I don't understand why Tucker's going to be talking about like how like they're chopping down like trees, okay, for the winter. They're freaking out. They're waiting in line for coal, and I'm sitting there going like, you guys in the States are sitting on tons of oil. You guys could be like making like a killing, and Canada too. You should see like the federal government, the liberals, man, we're sitting on like tons of oil, like we could feed the world for a while. And here's Europe about to fall, being literally strangled of energy, and the whole West is just sitting here, and we could be helping. Like that doesn't make sense to me. So let's check out what Carlson.
Okay.
Tell me to stop whenever. If there's something you have to say, just say stop.
Okay.
Share screen. All right, should be popping up now.
Is descending poverty. Did you know that? Had someone told you that? You would imagine our leaders would notice when Europe began to fall apart, especially when the signs were not subtle at all, and they weren't. A year ago, Europe was a modern place. For example, the overwhelming majority of Europeans heated their homes with natural gas, as modern people do. In Germany, the continent's richest country, only about 6% of households, most of them rural, heated with cordwood. And you'd expect that, given that, again, Germany is a modern industrialized country. You may have noticed that Joe Biden announced today a new front in his America's middle class. Biden didn't frame it that way, of course. Democrats rarely say what they mean. They tell you it's about something else. In this case, Biden told us it was about Vladimir Putin. Biden explained that we're going to hurt Putin by making it illegal for Americans to buy Russian energy.
Stop,
in the
please.
UK,
Say stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did it mean by natural gases?
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. What did it mean by natural gases?
I think it's like methane and stuff like that. Yeah, like methane.
So they don't have to go through like a
ethanol as well, like probably like the fuel they can make with corn, methane, stuff like that. That's like natural gas.
So they call it, but it's unnatural though because of the way they get it.
Yeah, well, I mean, natural. I guess they're grabbing the corn, they're fermenting or whatever. They're making grain alcohol out of it, so it's not.
Oh,
maybe that's what they mean, natural. Like I mean, it's marketing too, eh? It's natural.
Sorry, I understand now. You can keep playing. My bad.
Yeah.
Government projected that more than 10,000 Britons will freeze to death, will die this winter for lack of heating fuel. Freeze to death. In England. That is not supposed to happen in a first world country. So Europe is moving backward at high speed, and it's not clear where it'll end. This, he said, will amount to a massive moral victory for us. We're going to feel great about ourselves. And at the same time, it will be a crushing defeat for the Russians, who, of course, deserve it. So it was one of those rare occasions when we could see the good guys win and the bad guys lose. Finally, a chance to sound tough and decisive without making CNN angry. Thank you, Joe Biden. We can all be John McCain now. You rarely see unity like this in a city as divided as Washington. The unity was so heady, in fact, so delightful and intoxicating, that no one remembered to ask the most basic question. Why exactly are we doing this? What's the point? Is the point to bankrupt Vladimir?
I mean, Vladimir Putin is just buddying up with China and Turkey and other places, right? Like,
China, Brazil, Russia, India, and South Africa. They're already good because they have the BRICS.
Yeah. So
and Brazil. Yeah.
So who are we punishing? Because ever since we've been trying to punish him, like I drive 150 kilometers, it's probably like 70 miles a day, and because I'm doing that, and I'm paying tons of money for my gas because I'm doing my part to fight Putin, right? Meanwhile, Putin's fine. I think he's richer now than he was. And
because like, oh, your birthday, so you can stop me. Ooh, boo-hoo, whatever. I'm away. I made a country. What you gonna do? Nothing. I'm already aligning with like half of the planet. Like, ooh, yeah, freaking buy an electrical bike or a Tesla, whatever. No one cares.
I think the whole world right here is a stage at this point. There, it's a huge deception, and we are gearing towards this one world government, or at least a one world governing body over the nations. Not necessarily like there's no more countries, but they'll be acting more like districts or states and stuff like that.
I think in religious terms, in religious terms, I think they call it the 8-headed serpent.
Yeah, no, that's it. So, like, I mean, prophetically, we're talking about the beast system, the new world order that they're literally talking about. Like, they've been talking about a new world order, but I don't think they had the technology. I don't think they were able to institute a huge crisis, or the crises that they tried to create weren't big enough and stuff like that. So I think that the last 3 years was just perfect to make a big enough crisis where there are some casualties, but it's not going to annihilate like the Black Plague. But we can use that, and then Klaus Schwab can write a book called The Great Reset COVID-19.
Yeah, because they want to
that we're going to have no privacy, and we'll be happy. We'll own nothing, and we'll all live in smart cities under like Chinese style surveillance. I mean, look.
Big Brother program
is like that. China is literally like a social credit score. You don't think that's well, I'm not saying, I'm sure you agree. Like, it's sure that's where we're headed. 100%.
No, we already do that though, because like you could do it like on social media though. If you say something that goes against you, no matter how much money you make in the program, if somebody says like, oh no, I don't like what they say, like saying like somebody get like sniped who is like a gamer and say like, yo, leave the children alone, and then it was like a march where people the parents were telling stop bringing up homo stuff in children's school, just teach these kids information, and he got sniped and they removed his like actual thing off of Call of Duty. He was like from the Hayes clan. Yeah. And they did completely remove his like advertisement of his stuff like that, just for saying something simple, leave the children alone. And it is like, ooh, how dare you? And then it's only gonna get worse though.
Everything is inverting itself. What was good what has been good for generations is now bad, and what used to be bad is now acceptable. It's called liberation. I don't want to get into
in the context of religion though. People have to understand that the devil hates human beings, but he want to make it so nice to make you hate God, our creator, to the point where you just like believe everything because he wants you to live in sin. But if there's an afterlife and there's heaven and hell, the devil will not like you. Just like, yeah, you're an idiot. Go freaking torment somewhere else, creature. I don't even like you. And people want to be like, yeah, you want to be in sin and lust. At the end of the day, I only hope that you don't have to have an eternal life in the pits of hell. That's what I can only hope. But
yeah, like for me, what I was overjoyed, it was I fell on this Christian Edward Fudge, and he wrote a book, The Fire That Consumes, and I've done some videos on it, and I'm sure like most people, like this idea of eternal conscious torment. It's either eternal life or it's eternal life. But if you look at every single passage, first of all, in the Old Testament, there's no hell. It's just they talk about the destruction of the wicked. And all of those passages is the penalty of sin is death. They will, they will be destroyed. The wicked will perish. They'll burn up like, like weeds in a fire and stuff like that. So at least the Jews had no concept of this eternal conscious torment. And then after, if you literally read the New Testament, you will see that it says eternal life or perishing. Like Christianity is life eternal or death eternal. I did a whole like a big thing, and I really feel that it's scripturally supported. There's like a few vague New Testament verses that eternal conscious tormentors like hang on to, and it's the one where the fire will not be quenched and the worm will not die. Now, a fire that is not going to be quenched means it's not a fire that can be extinguished, right? And the worm will not die. So you could, like, first of all, to paint a whole doctrine of people burning for billions and billions and billions and then more and billions more, which I don't think any honest Christian could fit that with the character of God. I kind of just put it to the side and said, I trust God is righteous. Not sure about this thing. I'm just going to leave it on the side. But I think if you look at Edward Fudge, the fire that consumes, and I've done some videos on it. And I've after Edward Fudge, you can go to Rethinking Hell, a website by Chris Date. It's called Conditional Immortality, also sometimes referred to as annihilationism. And church fathers, it's never been the dominant view. The eternal conscious torment like sprung up quite quickly, but as well, it was that no, we're given this life, and we are given with conditions eternal life, and that's through Christ. And if we don't accept that, then after we are as well judged for our sins. And if you look in Revelation, death and Hades, okay, are thrown into what? The lake of fire, okay? And it specifically says that is the second death, because I don't see how God could vanquish evil, right? But somewhere in him, his perfection, there's this dark closet with all the burning souls forever and ever. And it's like, no, that doesn't make sense. Like, he's just hiding it somewhere. It has to end at one point.
Well, you see, the thing is, I can understand what you're saying, but what terrified me is when I realized that fire needs oxygen to stay alive. And what happens when somebody's like in pain? They have to breathe out oxygen. So every time they scream, the fire just gets freaking stronger and stronger.
Yeah. Here.
This terrifies me.
Daniel in the furnace.
Because like even if you hold in your breath, though, at one point you have to breathe. So even if you breathe through your nostrils, and like, you still be, even if you go deal with that much pain of just standing in like a lake of fire, you still will be fuming.
Here, I'll show you. Do you see this one here? You see these images, the fire and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's look at the top one. In the Old Testament, the book of Daniel, him and the three Israelites are thrown into a furnace. Now, the furnace was told to be stoked, I don't know, like 10 times hotter than it used to be. And the people that threw, there's 4 people, do you notice? There was only 3, okay, that were thrown in there. And the passage goes that Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, looks and says, we threw 3 people into the furnace, but now I see 3 people and a 4th one like the son of God, or the son of a God. So what we're saying here is that we will all go through the fire of judgment, and the only way Christians will not get burned up is if they are clothed with Christ. So this was in the Old Testament, Daniel, they're setting this up to say, look, there's one like the Son of Man that the king of Babylon saw. The 3 Israelites survived the furnace. Even the ones that threw them in burnt up. That's how hot it was. And this is how it's explained. This guy will get us through the fire of judgment unscathed. But if you don't have this guy, you ain't sucking or worrying. You cease to exist. You burn up. The penalty of sin, it says, is death. It even says, look at how many times, let's say, that it would say Bible verses, perish.
Yeah, because they fall in a false god. And like I hate to say it, but like people who like don't believe in a creator, people who are like atheists, they have a lot of like thinking to do, because like you think we just randomly came here, and it's like, what would you trust, a Bible that's like 2,000 years old, or like some made up nonsense by people who believe in evolution that tell you what happened to Earth 3 multiple million years ago? Like, shut up! Like, you wasn't even there.
Check this. Do you see this here? So let's say that we never read the Bible. We never heard about this hell, eternal conscious torment. It's important to realize that the word hell, this occurs in the translations that are not the original Greek manuscripts. Hell here, they call Sheol in the Old Testament, which is the common grave, like everyone goes there. It's the common grave where the Jews believe we're in this common, the good, bad, everybody, and the ugly, waiting the resurrection. So that was called Sheol. The exact same thing in Greek thought was called Hades. Hades, again, is not hell. Hades, again, is the common grave where we all go. So it's not a place of punishment, but Hades does have locations. And there is Tartarus, where the Titans, the Greeks say. And in the New Testament, they talk about Tartarus. They say that the angels are in Tartarus, which again, you know how mythologies, there's truth to it. Then Jesus says Gehenna, which is a metaphor. Gehenna was the valley of the sons of Hinnom outside Jerusalem. It was a place of burning trash, of decomposing leftovers and rotting flesh and stuff like that. And it was like perpetually being filled, so it was always smoldering and disgusting. Jesus used that as an example of hell, as if like, or be cast into a garbage pit. So let's look at where it says eternal conscious torment, or let's look where it is always contrasting life and death, life, death. You can't say eternal life and then call eternal life in hell also. It's like, no, we don't, it doesn't make sense. So look here. For God so loved the world that he gave his only son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have eternal life. So what are they comparing? Eternal life and perishing. Perishing means you're gone. Next, the Lord is not slow to fulfill his promise, as some count slowness, but is patient towards you, not wishing that any should perish, but that all should reach repentance. Again, perish. We look up perish. It means dead. You're done. Cease to exist. For the wages of sin is death, but the free gift of God is eternal death, life, death. There's no like life in heaven, life in hell. It's life and death. That's it. And that fits with the character of God. That doesn't mean that there's no just due punishment. When we throw criminals into prison, it doesn't mean they're executed, that they get capital punishment immediately. Sometimes there's a long delay before the actual death occurs. And within there is just punishment too. The criminal is being punished while he waits for the punishment as well. So I think that there is ample time based on God's righteousness and judgment to do whatever he wishes at whatever degree. And it seems very clear that there's different levels. It says some, it is clear that it's not like sinners get this and believers get that. It even says that believers will vary. They'll be least in the kingdom. They'll be the most in the kingdom. The Christian passes through the fire and will be judged for as well as he will be judged for every wrong deed that he's done, but he won't pay the penalty for it. But it will be called out. His works will be on display and things like that. Here it says the wages of sin. Here, and do not fear those who can kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. Rather fear him who can destroy both body and soul in hell. So it specifically says in Matthew, like, hey, don't fear men that can kill the body. Fear God, because he can destroy your body and your soul in hell. So again, what does that look like? It looks like being destroyed. It looks like death. It looks like hell is a place where you die.
No, but see, I think that verse though is the scapegoat for people like who are atheists. They're just like whatever because I'm gonna turn into dust, but they never factor in the soul. And then you talk about vegans, it's like we're specifically here because we are not the harbingers, but we are that of our creator to be the land the landowners of the planet that we live on.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, we're not doing so good. Like factory farm, I'll admit that it's kind of bad. And also, too, we're not doing good with the judicial system anywhere. And also, too, these governments are going out of control because they can nuke people anywhere they want. And then who could do anything other than somebody with a nuke? So, yeah, we are here. But the problem is that we have people who do not believe in our Father and want to do evil things because the devil wants us to kill each other.
Yeah.
And also, too, like it could be misinterpreted. Also, to people who believe in like reincarnation. Reincarnation is not real because they say like, oh, if I die, whatever, I'll be can come back as like a crocodile. Like, no, it doesn't work like that.
Hey, Nubs.
I personally came back as me every time.
So we're watching. What is it?
Hello,
called?
Nubs.
This will affect everyone in 1 to 2 weeks. Did you want to watch it with us and like we could stop and comment? That's the plan for the stream.
Right on.
All right, cool.
Nubs, aren't you the dude who said like you do everything natural though? Can you show me your medicine cabinet? Because I want to see how much unnatural stuff you have in there.
Nah, guys,
I don't necessarily do everything, Matt.
Right.
Not everything.
He is an herbalist, and we're gonna concentrate on the New World Order and stuff like that.
Okay, so yeah, my bad. So
to have like people,
and the majority of the herbs would be still out in the backyard.
I don't believe you, but okay, let's finish the video. When we get done with it, we can talk about it.
Yeah.
Belief, interesting concept.
Yeah. All right, present. You guys, you see the screen, Nubs? Yeah?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay, all right. Say it a little loud. If you have something to say and you want to stop, just say like, oh, stop, but say it loud because I have trouble hearing it with the audio.
Putin, that might be worth doing, but this won't do it.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
Israel, starting in China, in India, and Turkey. So that's not going to work. Maybe the point is to force Russian troops to withdraw from Ukraine. That would definitely be worth doing. But no, that's not the point either. Joe Biden will typically say absolutely anything, but even Joe Biden didn't claim today that sanctioning Russian oil will end the war in Ukraine, because it won't. So who exactly are these sanctions aimed at? Think about it. If you want to identify the target of a penalty, consider who's going to suffer most from it. And in this case, the answer could not be clear. It's middle-income Americans. They're the ones who were crushed for 2 years under COVID restrictions. They're the ones who are about to be pummeled by shutting down more energy sources. Notice.
Yeah. So any thoughts? You might have missed the first part, Nubs, but basically it's talking about the energy crisis in Europe. And
I would personally call it the perceived energy crisis because there's energy everywhere.
Yeah. Well, see, I'm like, okay, United States, plenty of oil. Canada, tons of oil. So even if this pipeline that Russia's not feeding them, like they're talking about, oh, the collapse and back to the dark. And I'm going like, but there's oil. Like, aren't we supposed to be allies with Europe? Like, so I definitely like agree with that. Like what you're saying, the perceived.
There's much better options than oil, even.
Yes, I have to agree with Nubs though, because he's right though, because the person who invented like the people who invented like electricity, like Tesla, and also the person who invented like the how we could run our cars off of like like water, they freaking both got popped or went mysteriously died though. So yeah, we have more energy, and like it's like people like the diesel, but people have to understand like gasoline. Once you get out the stores, you're gonna run out of it eventually soon. This is why only rich people could afford Teslas. Like the people who's like middle class or like lower class, they cannot afford like a brand new car that's Tesla. They have to rely on gas guzzlers.
Well, that's based, in my opinion, you're basing that understanding off of a middle class mindset where you're not allowing yourself to be able to gain that kind of money. I could be wrong, but it just seems like you're coming from a
no.
not necessarily.
I'm speaking on behalf of all people who are like either middle class or lower class, or people who are middle class or like rich or like wealthy or rich. So people who are wealthy and rich, they could afford to just like, oh, okay, let me be eco-friendly. Let me sell my gas guzzler and buy a brand new Tesla. But people who are like middle class, like basically get to middle class or lower than middle class, like poverty or like the lower class, they can just easily they have to rely on public transportation or they have to use a bicycle or like
you mean like somebody from the ghetto?
not from the ghetto. I'm just somebody is like saying like they have like multiple kids and then they make enough money to be considered like upper class. But it's just like that they have good intentions, they're not like ghetto or anything like that, but they just cannot afford to buy a car because they've been relying on public transportation. There's a big difference.
Well, if they have a bunch of kids, they okay.
No, but hold on. Before I say that, before you say that, because also too, there's like a bunch of like companies who are selling these vehicles, and you could get a tax write-off for a certain amount of people who actually can afford it. Well, after that, the value of actually electrical cars, or like not even hybrids, I'm talking about full electrical cars. You only for like I think it was like 300,000 people who buy these cars first will get a tax write-off, and then after that, the price inflated. So no, it makes it even more difficult because I wanted to buy one.
Would I be wrong to say that if hypothetically we were all able to have a Tesla right now at this moment, would the grid be able to maintain itself while we're trying to go green with the car? I don't think so, right? I agree.
Absolutely not.
So now give us like your Nostradamus, like, okay, what have they been doing? Where are we at now? Let's say, like you said, the perceived energy crisis. Like, what do you mean by that? Like, I want to know, like, where do you see things headed? What's happening in the background? I just want to know, like yours. Like, don't interrupt them. I just want you to give us your predictions or and stuff like that.
I don't really have any.
No. Well,
I don't really have any necessary. I think they're going to continue propagating an energy crisis. I think they as in the powers that be, rely on fear and propagating mistruths. And we get so used to listening to the warning signs, and that way, when the warning actually is an actual warning, we just simply ignore it, much like the fire alarm that keeps on going off.
Or it's like the predator, like the molester and stuff like that. He doesn't go right away for the thing. He's like, oh, you're
exactly.
Hey, come and see here. And they desensitize you. They did that with the gas. They jumped it up. Like I'm saying it in Canadian, so it's going to be, but at one point it was like $1. It jumped to $1.50. Everyone was freaking out. Then it went down to like $1.30 and everyone was fine with that. It's like, yeah, they just jumped it from $1 to $1.30, but they went way beyond so that they could pull it back. And we'd be like, oh, thank goodness it's lower now. It's like, no, it's
still higher. Right. John, Jason, if you really think about it, the technology of yesteryear is definitely still very able to be acquired.
Yeah.
And, just for instance, as a homeowner, you're talking about going more off grid. Are you familiar with the Trompy pump?
Hey?
Are you familiar with the Trompy pump? TROMPE.
No, what's that?
There was a gentleman, if you're looking to go off grid, definitely look up a gentleman by the name of Victor Scheldenberg. He was a hydrologist.
Let me get a paper. Let me get one paper.
Okay.
So, can we dial it back to the New World Order though? Because I think we kind of getting like off track.
This actually pertains directly to that New World Order.
I disagree, but okay.
Well, I can definitely show it. You're very disagreeable towards me. It's interesting. You wanted to see some of my greenery. Here's some of my greenery.
No, I don't want to see a greenery. I don't want to see a medicine cabinet. I clearly said I want to see a medicine cabinet to see how actually natural you are. I never said I want to see a greenery. I could go outside and see greenery.
Well, that's where the majority of it is, because that's
Show me
where
your medicine cabinet.
keep your plants.
Medicine cabinet.
Medicine is not what I use. I use plants and herbs.
So where do you store your medicine?
Glass normally.
Okay, so show
But
me
I
your
normally,
medicine.
if I'm storing anything.
Guys.
Right now, I do believe.
Guys.
Oh, you're back. Okay, go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Victor Scheldenberg was a hydrologist during the 20s and 30s over in, I do believe it's Sweden.
Okay.
He was conscribed to the German research facility, and he's the one that's actually responsible for the technology behind the Flying Bell. But before that, he was very involved in the way that that water moved through it's Switzerland. He was Swiss, because he basically built flumes to bring logs down, and his flumes were more efficient than even he had imagined. And I do believe that he was part of the development of what's called a trompe. And basically what you do is you take water from a high level, you suck it in with an open air vent, so that the water, as it flows down the pipe, mixes with the air, and then you separate it. Once it goes down into a 90, it goes into a reservoir, and you separate the air and the water. The water then is pushed by the pressure of the air back up a tube to a lower point, as well as fluid dynamics that have to do with it. And then you can utilize that water as well as the air. You put the air into a Tesla turbine, you can make power.
That's cool, man. Okay.
And it's all something that you could do in your backyard, putting a reservoir, 15 feet up in the air and digging a 20 or not a 20-foot hole, but maybe go rent a backhoe and dig 15 feet down.
Okay. So just one second, because the pen sucked. Give me the name of the guy. Sorry, one last time.
Victor.
Okay.
Scheldenberg. Don't ask me on a spelling.
Oh, yeah, I'm approximate. Berg, though.
And Nubs, no one ain't gonna say that you're respectable and you're very good at what you do. No one is saying that. But the way you're trying to think that everyone should do it, most people don't even have land to even.
If you don't want to do something that makes sense, that's up to you, dude. By all means.
I'm saying I agree with you. What you're talking about is the most sanest thing ever. But you see, the largest population, like even rich people, don't even have land like that to operate it. And they have to get someone.
Dude, I'm talking about a 10 by 12 area.
Yeah, most people don't have yards.
You could do this in the hood without a problem.
Okay, wait.
If you have land, though.
One last time.
Most people don't have backyards, my guy. It's like you live in like Narnia. You don't even understand the reality. Yeah.
Dude, I grew up with a backyard that was smaller than probably your front yard.
At least you had a backyard
in the fucking hood. I grew up right where you're talking about. I grew up in poverty, and I didn't let that shit hold me back. So if you're you're talking out your ass, because I'm a living experience of what I'm talking about.
Guys, wait.
If you go to some place like in New York, how are you going to tell people who are making a lot of money who actually want to be eco-friendly to go in their backyard when they live in skyscrapers? You're talking nonsense. They have to go on the roof at best to put some dirt on the roof and then go.
All right,
if you live in the city,
I'm muting everybody at the moment. Wait, stop, guys. I want to concentrate on the dialogue based on that. We can go off track a little bit. I don't want to go off track too much because people are looking at the title. So unmuting you. Okay. It's just because here, you're all unmuted. Let's stay on
I
topic.
apologize. Yeah, so the
Victor,
NWO though.
it's fine. It's
So the
fine. Just trying
Do
to.
you see this?
So can I say something real quick though? The
Yeah.
NWO though, the New World Order, they want to like the COVID scared. They just want to see if people freak out enough, so they understand like, oh, if we do this, we could have the whole mass of the planet from the governments freaking out. So now they're gonna try and implement something that's stronger to make us freak out again. And then certain places they comply, certain places they didn't comply. So they want to see like, okay, we gauge this globally, so the governments could actually do another thing like that, and then they could actually initiate like an actual like one rule government with curfews that you cannot go outside, you can't even hug your wife, and all this other stuff. And then now they're gonna try to talk about like, oh, you can only have one kid, or just like where you go, with your prescription, and be definitely into your life. That's what the government wants.
It's like the COOF is like a dress rehearsal, just kind of testing it out and stuff like that. Nubs, do you think we're gonna get at one point to kind of like a Chinese style complete surveillance, like, you know, facial recognition, they know where everybody is and kind of thing? Do you think most countries now want that? And do you think if you do think that, do you think that we'll get to that point?
I think that the word government means mind control, governmentos, meaning to govern one's mind. So that obviously would be their general agenda. And as far as getting to a control state, I think that there are some that will be controlled and there's some that will not be controlled. You have the free thinkers and you have the ones that will comply.
So the free thinkers would pretty much try and like just go off grid.
I wouldn't even say that necessarily. I would say that where there's a will, there's a way.
Because like in my head, I'm like, geez, like they don't even need guns. They can just do that like sound frequency thing, and then you're like running around and stuff like that. I don't know, the idea that they took away the freaking hunting rifles. Like what the hell? Like Canadians like don't carry, you know, we're not even allowed to like carry a gun or anything like that. We're just allowed for hunting. Yeah.
So when a bear comes to maul your family, you can't even protect yourself from the bear.
That's Trudeau. No, we were talking about
that's funny. I like that one.
Yeah, no, Trudeau's a real shady. So there was shooting that happened in the States, and then Trudeau here in Canada completely changed the gun laws based on an issue that happened in the States.
Well, it might happen in Canada. It might.
Yeah.
It could happen. Just like we could have real men that are accountable for our actions. It could happen. Probably not likely, though.
Let's play a little bit more.
It's a theme here. The people in charge hate the middle class above all. So it's not Vladimir Putin who's getting punished. It's American citizens. It's you. That's not speculation. Gas prices are already the highest they have ever been in history, and they're about to get even higher, potentially much, much higher. So will the price of natural gas and the price of electricity and food and everything else you buy that has to be transported more than 100 yards from where it was made, which is to say every single thing in your life. This is not good news for you, no matter what Washington is currently claiming. You are about to get a lot poorer. That's guaranteed. Last year, only about 6% of Germans used wood to
hold on that.
It's changed dramatically.
Yeah, go ahead.
He just said you're going to get a lot poorer.
Yeah.
Well, if we even understood money as it is now, we would understand that there is. Well, take the American dollar, for instance. Let me pull one out. So, $20 bill says this note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. It's a debt note.
Yeah.
So it's not money.
No.
Yeah, the only money you have is actually like stuff that's actually real, like silver, gold, or copper. Other than that, the dollar
and silver. According to the federal government, yes, gold and silver. Copper is definitely a commodity. but it's not classified under federal law, to my knowledge. Well, I guess it would be because the penny. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Hey, I have my moments, but yeah, for real though, because like right now, China and Russia is trying to say like we don't need American imports. We could just do it in home, and we could change the value of money and just have our own like kind of like money system and fuck the Americans because they've been freaking taking advantage of us. So then the American dollar is gonna fucking one day is gonna fucking dwindle hardcore.
Well, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, in retrospect to the one world government and everything like that, is it really a government or is it private corporation that are running the government?
Yeah.
Quasi. And what I'm talking about.
Well, isn't that what the whole like fascism kind of thing is when like corporations bind together kind of thing? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I completely agree with what you said. This thing will be private enterprises. What do they call it?
Yes. Privateers.
Yeah, cooperation. Yeah.
So this is just a theory, and it's a theory that I've been developing for a while, and take it for what it is.
Yeah, go ahead.
However, there are ties, and I will present it as it comes, and it won't be very long. It's quick. Sure. So did you guys hear about the situation that happened in East Palestine, Ohio?
Yeah, the big the train wreck, and then they freaking exploded it.
Yes. Okay, with the vinyl chloride.
Yeah, I did a video with JD on it. Yeah.
All right, so that vinyl chloride is important to know that chemical. Okay, so did you guys see the Netflix special about a train wreck that happened about a year prior in East Palestine, Ohio, on Netflix? There was it was a fictitious movie that took place in East Palestine, Ohio, about just what happened. Did you guys see that?
No, I did say. It was probably also a Simpsons episode.
It very well could have been, but there's ties specifically for Netflix. So Netflix is owned indirectly by Vanguard and BlackRock.
Oh, BlackRock, yeah. They're a quiet bunch.
Yeah.
They're like insane. Like, don't they own more money than the world kind of thing?
Check this out. It gets more interesting. They also own the tracks that go through East Palestine, Ohio. They also own the train company that was hauling the vinyl chloride. They also own major interests in where it was going, as well as a BP facility that just opened up that will be legally dumping vinyl chloride into the atmosphere. So it will already be there, but boy, isn't it convenient that now you have an excuse as to it negates the liability for all of that vinyl chloride for the next like 50 to 100 years.
Yeah.
Not to mention that they're changing the laws in Ohio for eminent domain laws to take people's property. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. If you look at the USGS survey of rocks and minerals, you'll see that there is a massive shelf of cobalt right in that specific area.
Now, I don't want to cut you off, but JD was mentioning about this too. They know where resources are. They want to shuttle us into these 15-minute smart cities or like cubes and stuff like that. But they'll cause forced migration by basically screwing up where you live, and you're like, I don't want to get cancer, and then so it's like it could be something like, look at these disasters, see how it shifts populations and what. But that was disgusting. The smoke, the amount of smoke just billowing, and to say to these like the citizens like, oh yeah, you can go back and stuff like that.
You might as well walk outside with a cigarette in your mouth like every single time you leave the fucking house, though, at that juncture. With all the toxic freaking chemicals in there.
Yep. I'm down for it. I've been prepping. I'm prepping, dude. You guys are going to be choking, not smoking. I'm going to be breathing just fine.
I'll be spraying.
With the gas mask? I respect that.
I need like plants that have a lot of nicotine. Isn't it true that not zucchini, eggplant? I don't know if that's true, but the supposedly eggplant contains nicotine.
Yeah, it does. So you were wondering about my if you don't mind, back to the full circle on that. If you really think about it, the cobalt ties directly to where China comes in, because where are they getting all the cobalt currently? China's dumping massive amounts of money into Africa, and they're strip mining Africa to get cobalt to put into batteries to ship to America. Well, if we have our own source of cobalt, then we don't have to have that circle.
Yeah.
We can do it ourselves.
Yeah.
And they take over the money, they take over the property through eminent domain, and we don't know the law. We only know code and policy, and they call it law.
Yeah.
And nobody's willing to stand up for rights and freedoms, and nobody's willing to learn things like herbs. Now, and this will tie in, but you were asking about my repertoire of different vitamins and herbs and nutrients. I've got plenty, dude. I've got plenty of them.
If you're talking about me, I'm talking about I want to see your medicine cabinet, though. But however, I agree with you, though, because you have to understand.
That's what I'm showing you right here.
Most people in America are fascinated with being rich and famous and doing it, and not so like good sources. They want to do on TikTok. They want to do it like making music. They want to do like stuff like YouTube. They want to do all this other stuff. But when it comes to like actually nitty gritty to help the society of America, most people don't give a fuck. Like especially like when it comes to their food. They have people picking their vegetables, working for like little and less than nothing, their fruits, and also to their meat. They have it based on farmers. No one in America really want to step up and actually get back to the country where it should be, where we could provide for ourselves. So that's the conundrum.
Don't say nobody. I'm definitely down.
No, not you. I respect you because what you say is true. Other than your medicine cabinet, but however, I do respect you because you
look at the camera. Do you see all those?
I see plastic bottles. So yeah, okay. The big one with the green top. Let me look at. Show me the back of it.
Fenugreek.
Show me the back of it then. The one right there. Show me the back. Read all the ingredients.
The ingredients? Fenugreek.
Mm-hmm. I can't see it. I cannot see it. Okay, so take out one pill. If it's in powder form, then that means it's not natural.
Fenugreek, that's how you take fenugreek.
It's not natural, my guy.
If you dry a herb and crush it, pine bark extract, that one has separation properties, but I did look up the separation process, and it's not an acid base. It's the other one. It's the water base.
Okay, so when you crush it up, right, and then you grind it into powder, how are you gonna form that powder into a pill? Because I'm pretty sure that's pill. There's not like powder in there. And also, too, you have to go through a process to make it into powder, though. And especially if it's white, though, because that means it's been bleached in some way.
No, that's not what that necessarily means. Okay. Maca is white naturally.
Okay, sure.
Maca root.
Maca, is that supposed to relax you, right? Maca, does it work on GABA receptors? No, that's not the same thing.
It does not relax you. It pumps you up. Yeah, the Aztec warriors used to take it to go to war.
I forget. Okay, guys, do you mind if we get back? Let's get back to the. Are you guys ready?
Yep.
All right. Present. Let's do it.
Demand for firewood in Germany has risen so fast that there is none left to buy. You can't get it. So desperate Germans are now cutting their own wood, scouring the forests like their ancestors for sources of heat. So they call it biomass, but it's wood. They're burning wood, again, as they did during the feudal period. That's Germany. In Poland, families are standing in line for days to buy coal. Not in 1910, right now, tonight. Cars queued up outside coal mines, hoping for fuel.
No way.
This is beyond
no way.
157.
There is way better ways.
Reuters. People are sleeping in their cars. I remember the
Let's continue a little more, but yeah, but just imagine that's how much people are freaking out.
communist times, but it didn't cross my mind that we could return to something even worse. Oh, but it's come, something even worse.
And you, not to mention, you got, like you said, I just said people are freaking out. But then obviously social media is doing this to increase the fear. You have to put everyone in, high alert, high alert.
Worse has arrived. The French government has announced energy rationing this winter. Just the other day, so much energy that it exported it to other countries. It was a net exporter of energy. Now, there won't be enough heat in France for everyone in the country to stay warm. In the UK, 70% of restaurants are preparing to close, to go under. Why? Because when winter comes, they won't be able to afford to keep the heat and lights on, et cetera, et cetera. This is happening across Europe in every country.
Okay, stop real quick.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you and also too, Nubs. If you have like land, make sure you invest in a generator because if something goes off grid, make sure you get like a deep freezer so you can keep your food storage. Unless you have like on your own way to make like a regenerate electricity, which is like usually like a solar panel. So
Yeah,
You can also
we have a well, at least. Like we have a well, but we want to put an auxiliary one, kind of a hand pump one, and I want to get a wood burning stove because we have like those antique stoves where you literally put wood and it's an oven and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen one of those in a while.
But it doesn't. It heats, but it doesn't heat 3,000 square feet at all. So I need like.
Have you ever heard of a rocket mass stove?
No. What is that?
Look into a rocket mass stove.
I'm checking it up now.
Can you show the picture of it? Because I never heard of it.
I don't have the ability to share.
I'm checking it out.
Yeah,
a rocket mass stove is basically a small stove that channels its air through a pipe that goes under a seating area, and basically you're using the mass to heat the house.
Yeah. Do you see the picture? You can see the picture of.
I can see it. Yeah.
You use clay and that silver tube there.
Yeah, like you can homemade it. You can make it like.
No, it's absolutely homemade. You clay and tile, and you can also heat copper. You wrap that copper line around, and you can heat water, and you can run that in your floor.
Yeah.
Okay, that's smart right there.
Or an antifreeze. Antifreeze is a better source because then it doesn't have the shock points of steam, and you don't have as much water hammer. However, the water hammer can also be used to harvest electricity based off of the function of what hammering water does. You just got to have strong pipes.
Thanks.
That's true.
It's definitely interesting.
Yo, thank you for that, bro.
All right, let's continue. Do it.
Why is this happening? And the answer for once is a very simple one. The war in Ukraine. That's why it's happening. A huge percentage of Europe's energy came from Russia. Those imports have now been banned, supposedly to punish Vladimir Putin. What's the result of this punishment? Well, the Russian ruble is now far stronger than it was a year ago. The European economy, meanwhile, is collapsing. Europeans are much poorer than they were when the war in Ukraine started. So how is that a victory for Europe and the West and democracy? Well, that's a fair question. It's an obvious question. But no one in Washington appears to be asking that question. Instead, the Biden administration is doubling down on the self-destructive mistakes that are destroying the European Union. The White House banned Russian oil, natural gas, and coal. It was our moral duty. And then at the same time, the Biden administration crushed domestic oil production here by canceling oil and gas leases. And then, as if that wasn't enough, the Biden administration sold a piece of our strategic petroleum reserve, maybe this country's most important resource, to China. None of this hurt Putin in any way. All of it impoverishes.
Can you pause that for a second?
Do
you guys know or have you heard about the massive coal deposits in Western Pennsylvania?
I did
A
not.
long time ago, but I haven't heard anything new about it.
Okay, well, it's coal country through there. Do you know where the majority of that coal goes?
I don't.
India?
China and India. Yeah.
Oh, okay. India was a good guess. I was like, they're
Third world countries.
world
You know
stuff
why?
would be good, better than what do they do? Cow dung and stuff too.
Well, that actually makes sense. Biomass heating.
It
Biomass
does.
heating is a great concept. Not only that, but you can also use a greenhouse. And if you live in a cold climate like yourself, you can use a greenhouse and a compost pile with some copper wire again and run water through that, or again, their antifreeze, and heat with that all year round.
Mm.
Wait, but hold on. Are people over there from India and China actually like from like Western countries over there making places where they could deal with the amount of copper? Not copper, sorry. Coal? Or is it like actually Indian people actually like from their country wanted to us from Pennsylvania to bear it to them so they could like use it to like multiple uses
They're using it for industry, and that industry then in turn comes back to the Americas.
So then basically it's kind of like outsourcing, insourcing, and outsource again.
Yep.
Ooh,
Commodities.
okay.
It's all about commodities.
Yep, we're screwed as a civilization.
Yeah,
Damn.
like you're saying, like the cow dung. I think the only problem that they have is the health issue. I guess that they were, because they're putting it inside and stuff like that. I think the rebreathing and stuff like that. There was something.
Well, if you're a dumbass, you're a dumbass. I mean, if you put there's no, like, for instance, like I've got rabbits and stuff, but they always have an open window. There's always ventilation to remove that gas because it's there. And if you don't realize that a gas is there and you light a match and you blow the fuck up, whose fault is it? The match? No.
Oh, no, for sure. No, I'm just going by what I read or something that, like, I mean, obviously you have a large population, you're going to have a large quantity of stupid people. But I guess like there was something really interesting in nutrition and physical degeneration. I forget which one of the cultures, but the way they were kind of also, they had their little huts and whatever, and the fire in the middle, it would go up. Anyways, whatever plants or kind of material they had on the roofs, eventually they would use that as fertilizer because I guess the smoke over and over created it helped the soil. I have to look, but I know it's somewhere in the book.
I use charcoal all the time in my soil when I'm propagating plants.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't.
Is it because of the absorption that it has, and also too?
It's because it's because it supports.
Also,
no, it supports the natural biome of the soil. It's to feed the stuff that feeds the stuff that feeds the plants.
Yeah.
Also, it collects bacteria.
Yeah, like topsoil, the ground is like a freaking like microcosm. It's like a universe in and of itself with all like the microbiota and all sorts of stuff. Let's get a little bit more of the video done. All right.
Possibly be the justification for doing that? We've wondered. Anyone who's paying attention has had to have wondered that. Well, this week, Congressman Jamie Raskin of Maryland, of Bethesda, answered that question. Russia is an Orthodox Christian country with traditional social values. And for that reason, it must be destroyed, no matter what the cost to us. So this is not a conventional war. This is a jihad. Jamie Raskin said that out loud, but many in Washington agree with him. In both parties, they would like to see World War trans immediately. So what is a jihad going to mean for you?
Made me snort.
Well,
I was like,
the details are stunning. Thanks to the Biden administration's religious war in Ukraine, this country
I'm just going to blow my nose, and I actually snorted, and like I think I have a blow my nose.
Country is about to run out of diesel fuel. So the question is, why is it happening? And the answer is extremely simple.
Funny.
There's an energy shortage in Europe. Cheap energy is essential. It is the key to everything that a normal society strives for: prosperity, safety, a longer life expectancy for its citizens, everything. depends on cheap energy, but Europe no longer has it. And as a result, things are falling apart very quickly. Energy costs in Europe are expected to increase by hundreds of % in coming months. Germany's year-ahead price of electricity, that's the benchmark for all of Europe, it's measured in euros per megawatt hour. That price just exceeded 1,000 euros for the first time in history. For perspective, just a week ago, last Monday, the cost was about 700 euros per megawatt hour. And that was a record. In other words, the price rise is approaching 50% in a single week. In France, electricity went up 25% in one day. That was last Friday.
Wow.
Imagine that happening to you.
Pause that for a second.
7 times
Yep.
more expensive.
Go ahead.
In the construction industry, that did happen to me during COVID.
Yeah.
When I would go into the store from one day to another, the price of a 2x4 would jump $1 to $2, give or take, you know,
Yeah.
and it was about a month and a half that it did it. It wasn't that all the time, obviously, because then it'd be like $40, but they were definitely up to like 8 or 9.
Huh.
And it put, basically, it wasn't like the trees stopped growing. It wasn't like they stopped cutting the trees down.
Yeah.
Well, up there in Canada, you guys like to burn the trees all of a sudden, all at once, as the satellite footage shows.
Yeah.
Nevertheless,
Quebec
since right, you know, since that's all happening, it was a bunch of what do they call them here? They're started by people having baby reveal parties and the fireworks getting away. That's what burned California a couple of times.
They're like, congratulations, a girl. Oh, we just started a fire.
That's it.
Right. Oh, we burned half of California down. My bad.
My
They're
bad.
like, oh, well, at least I have a baby, a daughter. Aren't you happy? They're like, no.
That's good.
They could call her Flame.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think what it has to deal with it is because like the proof happened. Basically, is like people was freaking out, so they has like, okay, we're not getting any business. I have to pay my employees. Also, too, I have like a backlog of things I need to get, and then they're not working, so I have to fucking raise the price. So any jackass that come in here,
No.
I'm pretty sure that's what it is. That's why inflation is fucking sucking right now.
No. There was no. Here's the thing. In construction, dude, I did not sit down. They had all those mandatory people that were out there on the roads, you know, the heroes and shit.
Yeah, I used to be a truck driver during the COVID though, so I was out there, yeah. And no one, it was like a wasteland. I was just like, what the hell?
Right. And who else did you see? You saw roofers, you saw plumbers, you saw electricians, you see all the contractor, all the trades, dude. People were sitting in their houses looking at their fucking houses saying, man, I don't like that about my house. Oh, I don't like that about my house. Hey, I got this extra $2,000. Oh, what can I do with it? Oh, I'll build a deck. I'll build a fence. I'll get my plumbing fixed. Dude,
we see not everyone is rational like you. Most people use their COVID money to just like party, like it's the end of the world. Like, fuck it, I'm not gonna make it, so might as well get me some women and some booze and some drugs and just like whatever.
I was able to go
stay
to the
6 feet away.
In Ottawa, you know, like when it was a Freedom Convoy. I went the week before it all got shut down.
That was pointless though. It's like, come on, like, because all you're gonna do is just give Amazon more of a reason to implement, or like these companies more a reason to implement like self-driving trucks. So that means like a lot of people are gonna lose their jobs.
Possible.
And then also too is like we're already doing with a crisis where people like taking over the robots because the government want to like actually like phase out people and have robots actually do the job. So the government is not gonna hand out money. It's gonna just like wait till people starve to death, and over a generation, if you're worthy, you could have your own robot if you survive. That's why the government could never be trusted fully, though. Not even remotely trusted, I should say.
Sounds like the Jetsons. Each have our
well, listen, Jetsons was a good movie, but it's not going to be this. Well, maybe so. Like they're flying over us, and we're the peasants. They're over there flying with their like, fancy hovering cars, and they live in like a palace in the sky, and we over there on poverty on the ground, begging for some water. Like, please, pee, so I can get some water and some rain.
You want to continue a little bit more?
Yeah, sure.
Let's do maybe like another 10 minutes, and I'll try and get to bed. This was like a failed attempt to sleep. Now it's 3 in the morning. I'm feeling a little sleepier, so you want to do another 10-minute, guys, and then we can call it a night.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Yep.
Let's do it a little bit more.
So it turns out, if you don't have cheap natural gas, you can't run the continent. Now, if you've got a graduate degree and live in a city in the United States, you may be shocked to learn this. You may never have heard this before. You may have believed that fossil fuels were on their way out any day now. And those people and our own leaders assured us of that for decades. They told us that green energy was the future, and the future is here. According to data from the Energy Information Administration, by the Monday of Thanksgiving week, that's 25 days from now, there will be no more diesel. So what's going to happen then? Well, everything will stop. That means trucks and trains and barges all unable to move. Farm equipment will shut down. There will be no deliveries because there will be no trucks. There will be no diesel generators. And then inevitably, our economy will crash because everything runs on diesel fuel.
What happens when there's no more food? People turn on each other. What happens when there's no more energy? War.
Knowing how to.
What are your thoughts, Num? War?
Yeah, because like if we go outside, all of a sudden like we all hungry, and then all of a sudden my neighbor walk out and they see me. I'm like, what the hell? It's like that looked like a large fried chicken leg. It's like, let me go try and take a nibble. I'm like, get off of me. It's like, no, I'm hungry. It's like, oh.
Is it like me and Garland Farms will be on there saying like, please do not eat vegans. They're too high in omega-6. It's causes inflammation. We'll just be switching it up to the next food chain.
Mm-hmm. It's like eating a twig. You're just like, well, I need to eat like 2 vegans per day because like the last vegan had no anything on them, no nutrition on them. It's just like eating like a freaking fried chicken without the meat on it. It's like,
don't get me started.
On a wind farm, diesel is not.
If I may, on that one,
you
real
have
quick.
to have diesel.
Yeah, go ahead.
Knowing what to eat when you're out in the wilderness is an invaluable skill.
Yeah.
For instance,
go ahead.
This plant right here, it's called lamb's quarter. Completely edible, tastes delicious, grows everywhere.
What does it do?
It's just it's a green that you can eat. I mean,
it's not like
there are some medicinal. No, not really. I mean, there are some, but because of the calcium and the I think it has boron, but don't quote me on that.
Okay.
You're 100% right though, because that's actually a skill that most people need to learn. Because I need to learn it because you don't want to be picking random berries or eating random leaves or eating random mushrooms because it could clap you. And
well, that's why I'm trying to get into like homesteading. I'm trying to like be able to survive with electricity and stuff like that.
This plant.
That's why I respect foragers though, because they know how to like survey the land and see what's edible or not. That's why I have high respect for foragers.
Yeah, I'm looking.
This plant right here, it's called plantain.
Oh, like the banana plantain? Kind of
no
plantains or no?
Nope, it has these. They kind of look like asparagus.
Yeah.
This is what it looks like.
Okay. Edible?
It is edible. It's a green, but the main usage is it's antibacterial, antimicrobial, antifungal, and antiviral.
Okay.
So what do you do? Just like squish it, and then apply it on the cut?
Chew it, make a spit poultice, and then apply it on whatever laceration. Yeah, that's what I do. Okay. I'm not suggesting anybody does it.
As a
okay, I get you.
What's your thoughts on stevia?
Also,
hey, that's smart. What are your thoughts on stevia?
Stevia,
stevia plant.
Stay away from sugars. I mean, if you need energy, there's lots of better things.
Unhealthy though, like because I know aspartame and freaking turns to formaldehyde and other things, but like because like my wife's sister. she has a stevia plant. She goes, yeah, you just throw the leaf, like, you just throw the leaf and let it like kind of like hover on top. And she goes, yeah, it tastes sweet. So I was like, well, okay.
I mean, there's lots of plants out there that are sweet inherently. So I mean, it's a sugarish, like I think it's in the sucrose. I haven't done much information on it, so I can't really give a super educated information, but
yeah, me neither.
For the most part, I just tend to stay away from that kind of stuff as much as possible. Don't get me wrong, I do have a sweet tooth, but don't we all?
Yeah, like I love carbs. That's why I stay away from them, because I get too fat. But I wasn't dealing with any of these artificial sweeteners, and then I started, and then now I'm like I have to like just cut that out, because like now I'm at work, I'm like, it's definitely not stevia, it's freaking like literally aspartame and stuff like that, and so I'm just gonna have to drink my coffee. It'll be bland to me for like 3 days, and then I'll readjust, I guess.
The actual truth is carbs is the most addictive thing on earth, especially if it's refined carbs or processed carbs.
Me, some people seem to tolerate it. If to me, if somebody, is a young guy, he's athletic, he's using carbohydrates, he has a lot of muscle mass, he can eat plenty of carbs, it fills in the glycogen, and he's active, it's good, so like those kind of people, they can pull the carbs off, and it's beneficial for them.
But for how long though? What about like when they get older?
Like me, I don't tolerate it. Like I bloat up very easily. My appetite becomes ravenous, and I'm hungry. Like, yeah, and I don't feel energy. I feel like sleeping after. But that's just for me. I'm gonna kick us three off of this, or I'm kind of really starting to get tired. But I appreciate you guys being with me during my insomnia. I really appreciate it, Nubs. It was very nice having a conversation. Hopefully it's like a new leaf, but all right, everyone's getting kicked off.
Real quick before you go, there's a spot on your wrist.
Yeah.
That it's 3 fingers down. Hang on, let me go into the light.
On mine?
On yours, yeah. It's on everybody.
What do you mean? Okay, now you got me curious.
So take your fingers.
Like wait. Let me put you on. Let me put you on solo. Go ahead. Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
Take that point. You feel a little nobular there. You push it down.
Yeah.
Hold it for about 20 seconds, and then pump it for about 20 seconds. Just like boom, 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 and go fall asleep.
Yeah. Like, are you, because where you seem to be telling me to push, it's either it's the radial nerve is there, or the arterial nerve. It's like
I think it's the radial and the arterial whatever that run through there, but it induces a state of mind that causes you to fall asleep quickly.
All right, cool. I've
just
been
plan on.
I don't know if it's a good habit, but I've always been used to a fan, like some kind of humming noise. I assume it'd probably be best to have no noise, but anyways, I've been using like brown noise or white noise. You ever see those channels where ashwagandha
is definitely going to balance out some sleep.
Yeah. Did you ever use those like brown noise or waves? I like it.
I use binaural beats quite often. I actually went to school as a child that was influential in the development for some technology of light and sound therapy.
Yeah. And
it affects those that have like ADHD, ADD, bipolar, what is that? Just the broad spectrum for
mood disorders, anything mental.
Pretty much. Yeah. Any brainwave disorders.
What about those magnets that you see? Is that a gimmick? What are your thoughts on those?
I don't think
so. For nausea and stuff like that.
The
Magnet is a gimmick though, but you have to put it next to your wrist though, because anything is like the most magnetic place is your wrist and also to your brain. But it's a gimmick. It's like nothing more than it's
It
basically
is
like
and
when
it
I tell
isn't.
people like jewelry and say like, oh, I have like a the heart of Iris or something like that is nothing more
That's a
than
gimmick. But if you
yeah.
Yeah.
use a high Gauss magnet, like really high, good quality magnets, we're dealing with a different type of thing. You know, you use magnets in MRI machines all the time, right?
Yeah.
Because
So
if
if
the
it
part of the
can,
magnet, you might be able to manipulate the blood.
yeah, if you use a high enough Gauss magnet, there's a bald fat dude. That's what he describes himself as on his channel. So that's how I'll describe him. But I can't remember what his channel is. But he's super fucking intelligent when it comes to magnets and Gauss forces, and he describes how it works in the blood flow. And it actually, I mean, you have to have strong magnets. That's why the jewelry shit is bullshit because it's
Hmm.
these little tiny ass little neodymium magnets that are as weak, and it ain't gonna do
All you're
nothing.
gonna do is hurt your wrist wearing some BS jewelry and then make somebody else rich. Basically, you need like you need a strong magnet,
Well,
like ooh, like strong. Is just like after like you have to use like both hands to remove the connection.
yeah, it needs to be a high Gauss magnet. There is benefit for some of them because they are copper, and copper definitely, yes, copper affects the body. Copper helps with muscle, bone, collagen production. Um, like if you have knees that click, take some copper and it should pretty much resolve itself.
What
It's normally,
what are
go ahead.
your thoughts on earthing? See, I was out of
Phenom-
desperation. Yeah, that's it. So I bought the sheets,
do
Earthing
you see
Canada.
the tan?
The tan?
Do you see the tan line?
Yes, I do. Those are
Okay.
your official slippers, sandals.
No, that's because I that is because I walk every day in flip-flops and I work construction in flip-flops so
Leather
that I
sole?
can at any point in time, not at this point, but when I do work, about half of the time I do work, I'm in barefoot.
See, people used to have everything was leather soles before. Now everything's rubber. It didn't do any miracle, that's for sure, for my wife. But we had the sheets, and then ideally, I think which is way better, would have the coil that you literally like coil and put outside in the ground to ground it, or you put this plug thing in the ground in the plug.
Wait,
And
hold on. Are
yeah,
you talking about your own personal construction, or are you talking about actually like at a construction site building like a building for other people?
When
I
I
think that's
when I do when I do grounding for a construction site, I'm putting a rod of copper about
Oh,
10
so you're
feet
an
or
electrician then?
what's that?
So you're an electrician?
No. No, I'm a contractor, but I do end up doing all sorts of different things. I've added ground lines because sometimes you have to for like ponds and stuff.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I thought you was talking about you actually work at a site. Okay, so if you're a
No,
contractor,
I own my own construction and landscaping company.
okay, I believe you now.
funny you said that. I saw a short this morning. The guy drives up and realizes two young kids he probably hired to dismantle a deck. They freaking dismantled the
Nice.
wrong address, and the
You
guy was
jackasses.
like, and it was like a major deck there. He was like, "This, I'm ruined."
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
All right.
dude, funny story and I'll get off.
Okay.
I
Cool.
had
Well,
this
then what's your
kid,
story?
I had
Hmm?
this young kid. It was his first actual job. He was about 17 or so, very sheltered. And he had been working for me for about 3, 4 weeks. And we had a job where he was going to need to pressure wash. Well, my house needed pressure wash. So I brought him to my house and I was like, all right, we'll practice here. This is how you do it. And I showed him and I showed him and I showed him. I showed him for about half an hour, 45 minutes. And I walked away after watching him for about 15, 20 minutes. He was doing just fine. No worries. Walk away, come back about a half an hour later. This little motherfucker dug into my house with that pressure washer about 1/4 of an inch to 1/8 of an inch in places. Destroyed the entire side of my house. I personally think he didn't want to pressure wash, so he was trying to be angry and was like, go F yourself.
I don't think so, because that's actually funny, because when I was like 15, I remember I get a job from people. I was in the islands, and this dude told me like, yo, we're building this house, but I need like a little faucet so it could run off the so when we have rain, it could run off the side of the hill. So basically I went over there with like a pickaxe, and I was chiseling away through like rock, and just like straight up like dirt. And like when I went over there, they was laughing at me. I'm just like, what? Why are you laughing? This is like the most longest trench that everyone will do for you. When I went up there, I said like, wow, it's completely like crooked and sideways. It's like, like I was just like, damn, I just put my time because they didn't give me that little fucking rope to just make sure I'm like digging straight. They just say like, here's the thing, and just go dig it, and it was just like completely like crooked. I was just like,
It's amazing what a simple piece of string will do.
Exactly.
String, 2 sticks, you'll be perfect.
Right?
No string, no sticks, no perfect.
Exactly.
Hey, I did want to mention.
Yeah, go ahead.
I did want to mention that I do believe I was blocked in your channel quite heavily by Darla.
I'll make sure
if you look at the comments. I make my own comments, and I'm accountable for my comments. So if anybody wants to question me on my comments, I'll give explanation to my comments. But I'm sorry, but as restricting speech, it was rather ironic, because the whole service or the whole message this morning was about being good to those that persecute you, and it was because of my questioning that I was persecuted.
Was it blocked on my response video, or was it blocked on my morning, the Daily Bread one?
Yes, that one.
Yeah. One thing, if you notice, I know, because, Darla told me after that she had blocked your comment or hid it or something. Freedom Grower was coming with literally criticisms or something that I could respond to. I don't pay attention during the Daily Bread. I don't see it because I have my share screen off, so you don't actually see it. Freedom was actually doing criticisms that I could respond to, and to my knowledge, it was you weren't really engaging with the current content, and I don't want the Daily Bread, like I do it really early. It's really just like for Christians and stuff like that. So criticisms are fine because I could respond to it, but I really don't want it to be negative, the Daily Bread in the morning. It's really like, it's so early. It should be just for Christians that are like, oh, I want to listen to it. Obviously you can listen to it. If you ask a question or you say, I don't agree, I'll engage with it. But I think it was more like we're still in the process of jibby jabbing a little bit back and forth, I think that's why I said, because if you notice in the video, I said I didn't say to block it, but then I was like, but I don't care. Because
yes, I did notice that, because
having a good conversation. Hopefully we're turning over a new leaf. I think we should stay in safe territory. Anything.
Well, Jason, religion. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. How many leaves are on an oak tree?
I don't know.
There are many. So there are many leaves to turn over.
Yeah.
You see, the thing is, if you're going to do it, though, you have to do it in good faith, though, because I'm pretty sure you were asking derivative of questions or saying something that just doesn't, like some atheist type of stuff. So at least if you're going to do it there, at least be good faith when you talk to people who are there for being the daily Sherman.
For me,
I would say faith is the belief of, or faith is the understanding of the unseen, and everything that I say is in the unseen, just as it is in the seen, because it's in text.
Okay, let me ask you a question though. Do you believe that ghosts are real, or is a fragment of the imagination?
Wait. Like I was about to.
He wants to end it. He
It's
wants
a
to end
big-
it.
yeah.
He already
Okay, I have
passed
to
his.
ask you this next time. I'm gonna have to ask you this
Just
personally.
before, though, just to put it